There was a place, Little Earth, as we're passing by to go to Ground Zero, George Floyd's memorial, that we see a project, a housing, and we seen the name Little Earth. And my first response is that a Native American reservation?
It is the epicenter of the American Indian community here in Minneapolis. It's really powerful that we're here because unlike a traditional reservation, this community, this housing network is really focused on bringing tribes together.
So no, they were not a reservation, but they were very much the solution, the answer, and the resources that were needed where there were service gaps and people were losing their lives, black and brown.
Little Earth is unique on its own. There's only one like this in the entire nation. You will never find a Native preference housing complex in the entire country. Growing up here, it's like growing up with family. Some people have been here for multiple generations. I am my family's second generation. My children are the third.
Little Earth of United Tribes is a 9-acre piece of property here in South Minneapolis. It's unique in the fact that it was developed in 1972 as a HUD housing development, approximately 212 units, about 1,000 residents. It has a unique feature in the fact that it has what's called Native preference. So if you're Native American, you have preference to live in this community.
We have 212 units here, households, which are pretty much 212 families. I love it here. There's no place that you can call home where you know every neighbor, that you have a connection with your neighbors, that you can rely on each other, that you know that you love one another.
Geographically, logistically, they're in the middle of South and North hotspot Minneapolis. They're 2 miles away from George Floyd, and that is now an autonomous zone that the police officers can't get in. The crime is at an all-time high. It appears to be lawlessness. People cannot get in to get the resources to them. And then there's the North, the other hotspot. How can we do all three a short period of time with a little amount of money? Find the catalyst that can be a conduit. That's what we decided.
Because of COVID, our organization here was not able to provide rides for residents to be able to get to the store. And it just really crippled our community. What happened with George Floyd was not only a will to, have justice, but it also, to be honest, it made our struggle even more hard.
Minneapolis was the awakening because of George Floyd. They called it Ground Zero. We didn't call it Ground Zero. What we looked at was all of the lives and the lives that would be lost because of the deficiency that the violence caused. So we needed to get in and bridge those gaps. And that was the essential businesses that supplied food, medication, just transportation. It was all burned up because of violence. We knew we had to get there.
Lake Street is where our resources are. The only grocery store is about a mile away, and it's on Lake Street. And destroying the only Cub Foods, the Target, the Aldi's, and all our stores on Lake Street, that was our lifeblood.
What do we need to take them through this next surge of COVID, this next wave of violence, and ensure that they will get life-sustaining resources?
The Little Earth Farm exists right here on the property. It encompasses about 3 acres of land, 1 acre being an orchard, another acre being row crops, and a 3rd acre in development right now. And And so the Little Earth Farm provides food for the Little Earth residents.
The farm was created in 2010. This farm gives us the empowerment we need to open those doors and to have a different opportunity in life. We built this as a community. We all worked on it. Every resident did, all the way down to our children. My children work on it still to this day.
In this particular year, with the access to food being very small and very difficult, especially with COVID and public transportation, the Little Earth Farm was incredibly important in distributing food to the community. Fresh, high quality produce that really didn't exist outside of the community.
We immediately responded. The second visit, we went back to try to meet with city officials. We met with city officials. We met with the community. We met with the churches. And again, it was such desperation. The people were in so much pain. We recognized that you just could not pour the resources in without some structure, without some accountability, without being able to monitor the situation to make sure that the intended investment would be very impactful. How can we take on something so painfully massive and impact to help them through this next wave of violence? So we decided to get back in that airplane again during the holidays, because we knew that it wasn't about convenience. Drew Brees, Joshua Norman, Demario Davis, in no order, they are all three equally compassionate and dedicated to this cause. All three of them said, get it there and we'll be there as soon as we can. We understand this is life or death. And we donated $12,000, which is $4,000 for 3 months, to get the food that they needed in the urban farm that would be able to feed 1,000 in that community and make available for the South and the North a mobile farmers market for them to get the vegetation and produce that they needed 7 days every month for the next 3 months.
Currently we have approximately about 8 months growing season here, from early spring until about November, and then our access to food becomes a little bit more challenging. So the 3 and 5 year plan is to start to implement off-season production, year-round production through hoop houses or steel building, to do aquaponics and hydroponics, education and processing as well.
This is a solution for food deserts. Urban Farm has their programs to ensure that they have food security for 100 days in any disasters, trauma, natural, and we knew that's who we needed with us so that we can continue to perpetuate this as we're watching what's going on across America.
Today was powerful and impactful because we were really able to bridge a gap between the African American community and the American Indian community here in Minneapolis. Now, these are communities that have historically been in Minneapolis for a very long time. And of course, there have been partnerships. Developing long-standing and ongoing agreements is something that we've been working hard to do for a long time. And these are two of the communities that have been most deeply impacted by the results of the death of George Floyd, the aftermath and its unrest, but also, and importantly, the outcomes of COVID and the outcomes of the violence that has followed George Floyd's murder. In addition to Little Earth, which is one of the coalition members that we're negotiating with, you also have Change Equals Opportunity, aka CEO, which is a Black North Side organization who's come to the table along with the freedom fighters who are really focused on security and uplifting communities after the unrest. And then you have Touch Outreach that is really focused on engaging with young people, primarily on the South Side, but citywide, and with a focus on all youth, but specific focus on African American youth. And so you can see how the connectedness between this larger American Indian community that's got a lot of diversity in what it can do around service, matched with some smaller African American led communities focused on a wide range of things, can really lead to some outcomes that have been missing, and particularly missing for those communities after the unrest from George Floyd's death.
We didn't have the resources to do as much as we wanted to do as we're trying to respond to so many other communities. But we did understand that if we made an impactful investment with just what little we had, if it was people that from their heart wanted to be part of the solution, we knew that investment would go a long way. The response to the hardest hit COVID communities and cities, with Minneapolis being at the center of it all, we recognized that this was a life or death necessity. Necessity is the mother of all inventions, and we created our emergency response 911. When we see we can do something about it, with your help, we can spread this across America. We can respond immediately. We have volunteers that will jump in that play, do a one-day turnaround to make sure that we do not band-aid the problem, we do not do a quick fix, but we can reach the masses, and that is what SHIELD was established to do.
My name is Harold Matthew. I'm the Youth Pathway Advocate for Little Earth Residents Association. I want to give a huge shout out to Josh Norman, Demario Davis, and Drew Breeze for the donation check for the Little Earth Farm.
Hi, my name is Maya, and I work at the Little Earth Farm, and I want to thank Demario Davis, Drew Breeze, Josh Norman, and Shield One for this check they donated to Little Earth Farm.
Hi, my name is Darlene Fairbanks. I'm the resident advocate here at Little Earth of United Tribes. I've been here for 16 years, and in 2010, Lucy Arias and I started the Little Earth Women's Empowerment Group. So I want to thank Drew Breeze, Josh Norman, Demario Davis, and Shield One for giving us this money for our Little Earth Urban Farm.
Hello, my name is Chad, and I'm a program manager for the Little Earth Farm. And I want to say a big thank you to Shield One and their connections to Drew Breeze, Josh Norman, and Demario Davis for the donation to Little Earth Farm. It came at a time that was very much needed. Our farm was very much impacted by the events of 2020, including the COVID and the murder of George Floyd. And so our farm was essentially on lifeline until this donation came in. So really, really big thank you and very gracious for your donation. Thank you again.